welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our first ever Monday show of the Stone and Crane Show. As always, myself is Stone, and I got on the other end
It's me.
Q smashed. Perfect timing. I don't care what anyone says. So this Monday evening, we will be going over the results of the 2021 Bahrain Grand Prix, ran by Formula One's 20 best drivers, and it was not a disappointment.
Oh no, definitely not, man. It was a blast.
Oh yes, we had some great racing. It felt so good to watch, man.
Man,
Very
it's so
exciting.
much fun, man.
It had a little bit of everything you needed. Had some great moments, had some heartbreakers. It was just fantastic. And and as always, something controversial.
Oh yeah.
So we'll get into that. We're gonna be
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm just going to go over premise of these Monday shows. These are gonna be kind of short and sweet. We're just gonna be going over the results of F1's Grand Prix. This will be every other week following the weekend of a Grand Prix, and we'll kind of see how it goes. Um, we are by no means experts in the F1 field, but we'll give you our take on it and what we loved and what we hated and everything else in between. So, as I said already, let's
You want to hit him with the top 10 then? The top 10 racers? You want to do that real quick?
top 10
Sorry.
racers.
Yeah, who finished top 10? Because that's the points, right? So
Yeah. Let me pop it up for everybody on your screen. For people listening, we'll definitely talk about it.
Because that's where we kind of did our preview special there. We talked a little bit about, for those who did get to see it a little bit, we talked a little bit about who we had predictions and things like that, which we were a little, it's a pretty unpredictable.
We got the top three right so far, which is fantastic.
But that's where I was super happy, man. That middle of the pack was really fun to watch, which was that was brilliant, right? So, yeah, I loved every minute of that.
Oh, for sure. So, Lewis Hamilton winning, I believe, his 96th Grand Prix. Is that right? He also took the lead for most laps led in Formula One with like
5,700 and something crazy, 92 or something like that.
That's crazy. It's way up there. So he is the GOAT in our eyes. In terms of those achievements, it's just incredible what he has done. But running up, and we'll get into the controversy in a little bit. Grabbing second, Max Verstappen, that Red Bull looked so competitive with the Mercedes. I am ecstatic with how close these two vehicles are. That is amazing. Did Max had one less stop though? I believe he just did a 2-stop versus Mercedes 3-stop. So there is still a little bit, could have, if they would have done the same stops, would have it been that close, but.
Yeah, they pushed some different stuff, strategies and things like that played out. Once again, that's Mercedes, man. Their strategy every year it always plays out for them. They're just really good with their Total Wolf. I can't remember their team principal, right?
Team principal, yeah.
He's a beast, right? What they come up with in their strategies every week in and out for Hamilton, and then in third place we have Valtteri Bottas. They're just geniuses, man, with what they do. So.
Oh yeah.
And then you would go to the fourth place there. So third place is Valtteri Bottas, and then fourth place, man, what a race!
My boy Lando Norris. He's not my boy, but he's my favorite driver. That's for sure.
Yeah, what a race he put up, man! Brilliant racing
I'm
by him.
So happy to see how competitive he is. I hope it lasts the whole season, man. And not to take away of the guy right behind him, or no, two guys behind him. Well, the next two guys, these next three, man. Sergio Perez, starting from last, he not Bahrain, but at the same circuit. I already forgot what it was called. It was the outer circuit that he did last to first, but at the same location. Man, that'd have been something if he would have done it again, though.
He was pushing real hard, man.
Oh, he was. He was competitive. That is
Yeah.
definitely the best number two driver they have had, at least pairing, I should say, they've had since Daniel Ricciardo was on the team for sure.
Yeah, he flew up that pack, man, with and that Red Bull car. And that's the thing, man. Once that he's in that Red Bull now, and when you're like because I missed the formation lap when I turned it on. He was in last place, and he messed me. I was like, what the hell happened? And then he came in last place, and then once he started, man, he was flying up that pack, and him and that Red Bull dude, he's so quick. So him finishing fifth was just brilliant to see. So fast.
For sure, for sure. And then as I was trying to get to Charles Leclerc, that Ferrari looks pretty dangerous, especially at the beginning of the race when he was racing Bottas pretty hard and honestly winning it. Just the overall race speed, just isn't quite there, but definitely a step forward from last year for Ferrari. So
it's gonna be, man, that those positions, realistically, man, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are gonna be really fun to watch all year.
Oh yeah, maybe not really 10.
Yeah, not 10.
Those Haas's did not look good at all, man.
What's that?
Those Haas's did not look good at all. Oh, you meant okay? I meant 10th in yeah, I get what you mean. I was thinking 10th in constructors. We're talking about. We'll get into that.
Oh, I'm talking about just racers in general. Like who's gonna finish and
who's gonna grab points. There's gonna be a lot of scoring.
Yeah, because I don't know how much you paid attention to Tsunoda's driving, man, but
oh my god, we'll
get to him. Hold on. Daniel Ricciardo was 7th in great driving by him as always, right?
Yep.
And finally, the car now that is reliable.
Oh yeah, I think this is far from his best, for sure. I think he will be competing up there for that either that last podium or that top 5 for sure. So.
For sure. Carlos Sainz in 8th.
Yep. Showing again that Ferrari. I mean, he's also a fantastic driver. Along with that Ferrari. I mean.
Yeah.
And there you go. I mean, that is your top 4 teams between those 8 teams, I should say. Yeah, and then going
Tsunoda
into
9th, the rookie, made points, 2 points in the AlphaTauri.
Oh yeah.
Out of Japan,
that AlphaTauri is, and we know that AlphaTauri is fast. Pierre Gasly qualifying 5th.
Yeah.
And
it's unfortunate for him, man. To bump Vettel in the back, and I messaged you when that happened. I was super upset because we know how much I like Pierre Gasly, and
for sure
when that happened for him to get, what he ended up in 18th.
Yes, he DNF'd. 17th, he retired from the race. Yeah.
Dude, so. Yeah, that was pretty heartbreaking, man, to watch that end up having to happen. But yeah, that was brutal, man. So, but yeah, and then what was 10th? So Lance Stroll.
Aston Martin. Yep.
With the points, so that was pretty fun, man. We had some good racing, and it was good, man. It was a fun day. It was nonstop, man. I loved every minute of it. The whole day was great. So.
Oh yeah.
So, a lot of good takes. Not very. I mean, there was a couple of little wrecks, couple controversies outside the main one.
Yeah, Mazepin, 3rd corner, just unable to keep that car underneath him. Yeah. Really. I mean, that's a shame, especially your first F1 race. You got to go back and remember that you only took the first 3 turns. I'm sure it's tough to think about. That's something he'll be trying not to think about going forward.
Yeah, and then Alonso having to back out too.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
That didn't finish the race.
Dude, him, Carlos Sainz, and Sebastian Vettel's dogfight.
Yeah, it was great.
Middle of the race, middle of the pack, fighting for those last few points there. Yeah, oh my God, that was awesome. That was amazing racing by all 3 drivers. Yeah, just good stuff, showing off skill and just not wrecking either, which is also crazy. I mean, just the drive by all of them.
Yeah.
That was very fun to watch.
Yeah.
We get Mick Schumacher, a little underwhelming first race. I mean, you couldn't expect much out of that. As I said earlier, that Haas vehicle just doesn't seem to be anywhere near the rest of the pack at all. I'm not even talking about. He already
talked about it. Talked about it at pre-race, man. They didn't do anything. They literally didn't do anything.
Yeah, they're getting left
all off-season.
far behind.
So they won't do anything all year. And the only reason why the other guys were off is because they spun out, and then they do. And Pierre Gasly, of course, he had to take that long pit to switch his front wings. So he was in the pit for a minute almost, switching that front wing. So he was behind, so far behind.
Yeah, well, everyone else behind Mick didn't finish. So
yeah, they did. Pierre Gasly finished.
I got a DNF here.
Did he? I thought he finished.
I think he might have called it quits before the end of the race.
Did they end up calling it quits? Because I haven't finished in 17th and 18th.
Yeah, that's where I got him finishing, just not actually finishing. No, bro. But going on, Special Vettel, I mean, he had a really good start of the race. Had to start from the back of the pack, ran the vehicle very well, as we said. Had a very interesting strategy. I don't think that strategy ended up working out the best, but he drove the Aston Martin very well. I definitely think it's going to be a competitor for points. But I thought it would be more competitive with Ferrari, to be honest. But after this first race, I mean, that's already tough to see. They're going to be more in competition with the AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
And the Alfa Romeo. Even Alpine.
Yeah,
those ones. I think Ferrari is going to be in that fourth to, maybe even competing for third against McLaren. But McLaren, I mean, as I said, how fast they look, they could be competing, for that second spot, even potentially, if depending on how the rest of the season goes. Not, no real big DNFs in terms of those high point standings, as I said earlier. The top 8 consisted of the four teams, which I think are going to be fairly consistent, considering it was almost 20 seconds back from Carlos Sainz to Yuki. I think Gasly at the moment is a bit of a better driver, obviously, than Yuki. So I think he could have been competing against Carlos and Ricardo. But
he was fine. He was going to push the rest of that pack. He would have been right back up in there if it wasn't for that clip.
Yeah, I mean, he started 5th. I mean, you got to be thinking he's fighting for at least around there. So
yeah, he was definitely pushed, because I can't remember exactly what happened. I believe he pitted. They were coming back around. He was gonna be in that middle of that top 10 pack coming back around.
Yeah, so
he's
gonna be exciting to watch on future races, on clean races for him. Same thing with Sergio Perez, who finished 5th despite starting last.
Yeah, dude, he's the one. I know I talked a little bit about it pre-race, and I'm super excited for Sergio Perez and that Honda, dude. I think he's gonna be pushing, and that's what we talked about with that 3-pack, man, of the McLarens, the Red Bull, and the Mercedes. Those 6 guys, dude, are gonna be. And then now with the Ferraris and how well they drove this Sunday, it's gonna be
consistently
really
and great. Driving by all of them, competitive on track,
Yeah.
They do seem to be lacking some speed still, some top speed, but they're still competitive.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It'll be fun. You want to talk about that controversy?
Let's just hop into it. So, as we said earlier, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen on different strategies. Max Verstappen started off the race in flying colors, man. He was pretty decent. He good 4 seconds up the pack or so on Lewis at one point. Lewis closed it a little bit on his in lap going into the pits, and then Max Red Bull didn't respond.
Yeah, they didn't pit. Yeah.
Do you think they would have been better off pitting, or do you think they had that 2-stop strategy all along and wasn't gonna, or what do you think? Do you think the 3, obviously with race winner, it's hard to argue that the 3-stop strategy was the best, but I mean,
I don't know. I think they had it right. I mean, I don't know enough about the pitting strategy. I guess I'm not educated enough in how that works out for them to really know what they were thinking. Um, that it looked like it was gonna work, and I believe that it did work. That we'll get into the controversy a little bit with turn four. Um, Verstappen had him. He had him. He closed the gap at the end of the race. Um, and I feel like even if they, and I agree with what Max said after the race, that even if they would have given the 5 second penalty, he thinks that he would have pushed him past 5 seconds.
Yeah.
He thinks that he could have put a 5 second gap in between them. So I don't know if he could have or not. That's pretty ballsy thing to say, but Max is a ballsy guy. So
Oh yeah.
It's kind of crazy. But I think that it's bullshit that he would even had to relinquish the pass when we want to talk about the controversy a little bit anyway in a second. But with the pitting, I mean, yeah, 2-stop pit. Was it 2-stop or did he put hard on the end? I can't. Was it 2-stop? 2-stop pit. Right?
2-stop for Max, 3-stop for Lewis and Bottas.
Because he put the
actually a 4-stop for Bottas because a 10-second pit is atrocious.
Yeah. That God, he could get the tire off. Yeah, because he put the mediums on, and at the end he put the hards on at the end, right, to push that pace.
He put 2 sets of hards on at the end, I believe.
Was it 2 sets? I thought he rode mediums most of the race, and then
he did softs to mediums to hards to hards. I want to say was the strategy by Lewis's team.
No, I'm talking about.
Oh, Max.
Yeah. Hamilton rode softs to hard, right? And then
softs to mediums to hard.
Yeah, okay.
That's 3 pit.
Then Max was mediums all day until that last lap, that last pit.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, but it doesn't matter. It's just whatever the pit strategy was, it worked. Max closed the distance relatively quick. They told him to back off because they wanted them to save tires because he was closing the gap super fast. And with the 16 laps to go, they said that he'd close it within 10. And they said that, they wanted to pull a little bit because they didn't want him to kill the tires so that he'd have enough, of course, to do it. Which I don't agree with that. I think you just close it and pass them when you can, right? I mean, push it.
Sure.
And
especially considering the fact that Hamilton had older tires.
Yeah. Blow them, right? I mean, because at that point, especially if you can get the lead and then you get it and you push it and you blow it, then I don't know, man. I feel like you do what you got to do to try to get it, and then if you battle them, and then you try to hold them off. You do what you can to hold them.
Yeah.
Because you try to get there and see what happens at that point. But I don't know, man. He closed the gap. He did what he had to do it, and we get to the controversy. I don't know if you want to talk about the controversy.
Let's just get into it now.
Yeah, you go ahead and bring up the stats of Lewis Hamilton on turn 4.
Yeah. So turn 4 is the big controversy because of how it works. It is a turn that gets extended quite a bit. In fact, Lewis Hamilton extended turn 4 29 times before being warned. Going wide around the turn, yeah. Carrying that speed, you don't have to slow down as much, so it's definitely faster.
Technically supposed to keep your tires on the
at least 2
on the white line, right? 2 on the white lines.
Yep. So and that obviously didn't happen. And then Max, I don't know how many times they probably don't say it for a reason, but I don't know how many times Max did or didn't extend it, but he did extend it on the one that he ended up passing Lewis Hamilton with 4 laps to go, 3 or 4.
Yeah, something like that.
And then eventually getting called to give the spot back to Hamilton, which is
I don't know. I don't, and I'm with Max. And then what me and I was watching it with Rebecca, and what we were talking about when he did give it up, even with what the announcers were talking about too, give it up in a different position because I felt like he lost a lot of gap when he gave it up.
For sure.
Like when he let go, it felt like almost he backed way too much, and then I felt like after that he struggled to gain back that momentum.
Oh, for
And then
sure.
he was, it almost felt like that was the lost cause after that point. He never
Yeah.
really got that
Yeah,
momentum back.
and yeah, Hamilton did a great job, get in that scenario anyways of getting that. I don't hate Lewis Hamilton for this. This is
Oh no,
I mean, I
Lewis.
do think Max Verstappen should have won that race, but Lewis Hamilton did a great job of just taking what he, gives
Yeah,
is given to him. You know, given that, having being able to get that spot back and then, driving, given the second chance to, you know,
Lewis Hamilton's begged for years for competition.
mm-hmm.
This guy for years has begged for like more harder competition, harder races to like solidify and like justify his accomplishments
Yeah.
and like
He
what
wants
he
the
has.
cars more equal so he
Yeah,
can.
so he
So
can
when
be.
wins that eighth, he can really say that he's better, which I believe he's better. I know how much better Mercedes vehicles are, and I know all that fun
Yeah,
stuff. And I know old timers of F1 or whatever is can always say Schumacher or
sure.
whoever it is. But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, man, stats are stats, and F1 is still the same.
Even when I was watching this race, and when Verstappen still pushed it, and even he had the fastest pace, he was coming up behind him, and he's doing all the stuff. You you still have to pass and then hold it against Lewis Hamilton, man. This guy is a machine for a reason. And he's the greatest or one of the greatest to do what he has done for the last, 7 years.
Yep,
And yeah, and you're right. When he did a great job and Max did a good thing too. I mean, he could have been like, I passed him. I'm not going to relinquish the pass. I'm just going to push it and go, which I kind of wish he would have just kept going and tried to push as much distance as he possibly could have between him and seen what he could have done out of it. But he listened to his team, and
mm-hmm.
Matt was such a class act in himself. He let him pass, and he tried to do it again the right way, and he took the second place with a lot of grace, and was like, we'll get him next week or in the next race, and
Yeah.
he's such a man. I'm just super excited every race here on out because of that, dude,
Oh,
and
for sure.
everything else that involves with all these other cars. It was so fun because, dude, the cars, the broadcast announcing team, man, those guys are just they're fucking awesome to listen to.
For
You
sure.
know, they're like they're probably some of the best in the business as far as like announcing sports, and they make it fun to listen to something. So
Oh, for sure.
really excited.
Quickly going over the constructor standings. Obviously, Mercedes number one right now with Red Bull Racing, followed by McLaren, Ferrari, Honda, and Aston Martin of the teams that have scored points. But I think every team but Haas and Williams are, unless incidents happen, a lot of DNFs. I don't believe Williams or Haas really have the power to score.
Mm-hmm.
George Russell finished 14th in this race, in that Williams car, which is awesome. But I mean, that's only above two other drivers that finished the race, which Mick Schumacher and the Haas, which I don't believe in that vehicle at all. And then Sebastian Vettel having problems
And
throughout the
then
race.
and Alonso pulling out too.
Yeah. The rest are DNFs.
Yeah, it's big, man.
So, but yeah, I believe Alpine, Alfa Romeo didn't score this race, but
Close.
Fernando is definitely going to be scoring points, as we saw. I mean, he was racing with Sainz, who finished 8th. So I think he definitely could have grabbed a point or two. And then Alfa Romeo finished 11th, 12th, just outside points.
Yeah.
So they're scoring.
Yeah.
As for teams that scored, Aston Martin, I think, is going to score more than 1 point in a race.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't show too much pace, I definitely think Vettel is a better racer than Stroll. So in that set, I think he could be competing for just outside the top 5, 7th, 8th every race, with a vehicle that runs, obviously. Um, it did sound like they were hit hard. I don't know if you heard the interview with not team principal, the race team owner
Yeah,
for.
He was
They talked.
complaining pretty
Oh
bad
yeah, he
about it.
was. He had a bit of a grudge, man. He did not like the rule changes over from 2020 to 2021. He felt like his team was hit the hardest.
Yeah.
So we got that Alpha
Some of the weak
Tari
stuff, whatever crap.
with Gasly not finishing. I think he's gonna be scoring points. Yuki, I think, has potential to score a point or two every race. As I said,
Yeah.
that kind of depends. I think if Full Grid finishes the race without any real problems, I think he's gonna be more around the 13th to 12th spot. But taking advantage, obviously, I think he's scoring points. As you know, Ferrari, this was a wonderful race. I hope this isn't a fluke of speed for them. I hope they keep this pace. I hope all teams are competitive, man.
I hope Ferrari fails.
I know you do. That's why I said it.
I hope this was a fluke week for Ferrari.
No, Charles Leclerc is definitely a great driver.
Yeah, he's
Last
great.
year on his contract, so Ferrari's definitely got to impress, man.
Yeah.
Keep him around.
Yeah, I think having Ferrari, I agree with the, I think it was they did that interview with the owner of Ferrari, whatever. He says that Ferrari's going to be in F1 for a long time. And I think it's F1 is good and Ferrari is good in F1, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean,
you need that name in Ferrari.
The red car, man. You got to have it.
Have it, man.
Gotta have it.
Well, that's why we talked about it a little bit, off chat and stuff, personal talks, that Aston Martin is huge in the sport. I think it's good to have that name in there.
Yeah.
I know, before we wrap this up real quick, Donut Media did a thing with Dodge. What if Dodge joined F1 in the future? Something like that, like having an American brand and something like that. Would that, F1 stats or like bringing in more something else? I thought that could be an interesting take.
It could be, I think, bigger than Haas anyways in terms of American teams, because Haas isn't as known.
I don't know if you've seen that video or not.
Haas is more of just a big company rather than, it's not really, not as recognized. And I know it's an American company, but it's still not, I feel like it's not quite recognized as something like, Dodge or Chrysler or whatever they'd go. I'm sure they go under Dodge or something. I don't know what the heck.
Yeah, something. Yeah, just some big American.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it. It's a Donut Media, man. It's a pretty interesting take, if you were to do something like that. Would that boost? Because F1's still pretty big in America, but
for sure,
what would that look like? In terms of
Chicago, United States Prix coming 2030.
Yeah, that would be something pretty cool. And what kind of drivers would you get and things like that? Right now, there's
no Americans,
and things like that. So anyway, whatever
you think. I guess. Oh yeah, I'll ask you after this, but yeah, let's wrap it up. We're kind of at our limit, so. This was a great opening race. I hope every race is just as exciting as this, man.
Yes, me too, man.
This is going to be a wonderful season.
Italy.
Yeah.
Italy's fun, man. It's a fun-looking track. So.
Well, talk to you guys next time. We'll see you in a couple days for our regular Wednesday show.
Yep.
Until then, talk to you later.
All right, later, guys. Take care.